Welcome back, my dear learners. Let us study one more poem from William Wordsworth. The poem that I am going to explain it to you line by line is one of the famous poems written by William Wordsworth, the greatest romantic poet of the first generation of romantics. The name of the poem is Daffodils, or I wandered lonely as a cloud. But before I could head straightway into the world of this very particular poem, I would like to give you some important information related to this very particular poem. This poem, I wandered lonely as a cloud, that is also known by the other name, that is Daffodils, was actually written in 1804. Remember, my dear learners, this very particular poem was written in 1804 and published in 1807 with so many other poems like London 1802, The World is Too Much with Us, The Solitary Reaper, in the collection titled Poems in 2 volumes. This very particular poem, Daffodils, is written in 4 stanzas, 6 lines each. It means the total number of the lines this poem is consisted of is 24. Total number of the line 24. In this very particular poem, again, like his all other poems, he's been glorifying nature. He's been just talking about the impact of the nature on the human beings, particularly William Wordsworth, because you all know that William Wordsworth was very much frustrated actually after the French Revolution. Actually, he was very much connected or associated with French Revolution, thinking that huge change was going to happen after the French Revolution regarding the life of the common man. He thought that common man was going to live to the full. He was going to have all the birthrights. He was going to get equality. He was going to get liberty and freedom, and he was going to live like all other, you can say, people, particularly the rich class of the society. But since it did not happen at all, the French Revolution became a kind of a bloody revolution. Large number of the innocent or the innocent people and the civilians were killed. It was all because of that. William Wordsworth was very much frustrated. He was almost shattered. His dreams dashed to the ground. And in that sad and upset and frustrated mood, if William Words got some relief, if he got some positivity of thought, positivity of thinking, only after coming in the open lap of the nature. So here William Wordsworth is once again glorifying nature and highlighting the value and importance of nature. How nature helps one get rid of one's own suffering, one's own complications of the life. Let's look at this beautiful poem. In this very particular video, I'm just going to cover first 2 stanzas of this poem. It means the total number I'm going to explain is 12. Let's look at the poem and try to understand this very particular poem of William Wordsworth, dear learners. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Here William Wordsworth says that how was he wandering? How was he wandering in the open field of nature, or under the sky, just like a lonely cloud? Here he compares himself to a cloud. It means in the first line of the poem, simile is used. And second very important thing that you have to bear in mind, why does he compare himself to a lonely cloud? It means, if he compares himself to a lonely cloud, it means he felt loneliness in his own life. It is said that he felt loneliness. Why? Because he had suffered the loss of his own dear brother. It was all because of the death of his own dear brother. He felt very much lonely. He felt very much lonely. And one thing also is very, very important for you to bear in mind, that this poem is based on, or this poem is the result of the lifetime experience of William Wordsworth. Once William Wordsworth was actually moving in the open field in the Lake District with his own dear young sister Dorothy. While they were moving together, at a particular time, they arrived at a place where they found this yellow and white color flower, just a white color flower growing almost everywhere. All of a sudden, they realized that their attention was absolutely arrested. Later on, Dorothy wrote all about this very particular experience, and that very particular experience, or that very particular writing of Dorothy somehow helped William Wordsworth composing this very particular poem. So here William Wordsworth says that how was he wandering, or how was he roaming in the open field of the nature? Just like the cloud, just like a patch of cloud could be seen moving absolutely in a free manner on the current of the wind in the limitless sky. In the same manner, William Wordsworth was wandering. Why? Because he was frustrated. Generally, when does a man walk all alone in the jungle or in the open field of the nature? When the man is somehow not happy at all. When the man's heart is heavy with some sorrow or suffering. So William Wordsworth was sad. Different reason or multiple reason. I told you that French Revolution became a bloody revolution, and it became a reign of terror. Second thing, that he had suffered the loss of his own dear brother. His brother was drowned to death. He was drowned. So these were the certain factors because of which William Wordsworth felt sad and felt lonely, and that's why here William Wordsworth is comparing himself to a cloud. See, next slide. That floats on high over vales and hills. So just like the cloud, just like a patch of cloud can be seen floating or moving on the current of the wind over the plain area or the hill or mountain, in the same manner William Wordsworth was wandering or roaming in the open field of nature under the sky. See the next line of the poem. When all at once I saw a crowd a host of golden daffodils. So he says, when he was wandering with his own heavy heart and felt absolutely sad and alone, in the meantime he stumbled at a very particular place where he saw a large number of daffodils. Daffodils grown. He says, a host of golden daffodils. I told you that this flower, the petal of this flower is generally white and yellow in color. So he says that he saw a large number of daffodil plants, or the plant of this very particular flower, grown almost everywhere. Wherever the eyes of this very particular poet went, he only and only saw one thing, that is daffodil. And interestingly, my dear learner, remember here that here he does not make mention of his own sister Dorothy, but he was there with Dorothy. See, beside the lake, beneath the trees, means the daffodil plants were just by the side of the lake, beneath, under the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. And how did the daffodils look like? As if they were extremely happy. They were so happy. It seemed to the poet that, why? Because since the wind was blowing just over them, and it was all because of that, how did the daffodils look like? As if they were dancing. Why? Because they were moving, because the wind was blowing over them. So see, how does the imagination of the poet picture the daffodils? Just imagine the daffodils as if they were the humans. And just as when we human beings are extremely happy, we do lots of things to express our own happiness. In the same manner, for William Wordsworth, those daffodil flowers were dancing. Why? Because they were extremely happy. See, fluttering and dancing, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, means galaxy. Milky Way means galaxy. So here he compares the dancing movement, or the movement of the daffodils to the stars in the sky. Just as the stars twinkle and spread their just brightness and luster all over the sky, or everywhere in the sky, or all over this very particular earth. In the same manner, these flowers were just expressing or showing or spreading their happiness and joy everywhere. So here he compares the daffodils to the stars, using the word as it means simile. So the first line of the poem has simile. Now here again simile is used. Why? Because he says, just as the stars in the galaxy twinkle and shine and spread their luster non-stop, without stopping, in the same manner these daffodil flowers were dancing and moving and expressing their joy and happiness non-stop. And they stretch the never-ending line along the margin of a bay. Margin here stands for the side. Along the margin or the edge, just corner of a bay. Bay here stands for the, you can say this just a lake or the river. So he says that wherever his eyes, I told you earlier, that wherever his eyes went, wherever he saw, he only and only saw one thing, that is daffodil. So daffodils were under the tree, daffodils were just along the side of that very particular lake, daffodils were almost everywhere. He says, they stretched in never-ending line. How can a line never end? No, line will always end. A line has its own end. But he says that they were grown in a never-ending line. It means hyperbole is used. Here he is exaggerating. Here he is exaggerating daffodils. Daffodils were so many in numbers that here he exaggerates them beyond limit. It means hyperbole is used in this very particular line. See next. 10,000 saw I at a glance. So he says how many he saw? Exactly 10,000. So how is it possible? How can one be so calculated? No. But he says, since he saw so many, since there were so many, he saw a kind of a belt of daffodils. He saw daffodils in such a large number that it seemed to him that he saw in a single sight, at a single glance, or in a single glance, 10,000 daffodils. It means, again, there is a very good use of hyperbole, exaggeration. Again, he's been exaggerating the number of the daffodil plants grown at that place. This very particular person, this very particular poet, means a speaker, with his own sister, happened to reach. See the next line of the poem. Tossing their heads in spritefully dance. So how were they moving, or how were the heads of these flowers moving in the wind, as if they were no longer the flowers, but as if they were the humans. Just as the humans make a lot of hand movement, body part movement when they are extremely happy and dancing, in the same manner these flowers were moving and expressing their joy and happiness and glee. So my dear learners, I hope this poem must be clear to you. But now let's look at, see, I told you the first line of the poem, simile is used. Why? Because the poet compares himself to the cloud. So simile. But now see so many other figures of speech here. See, high, hills, two words begin with H, means repetition of H sound. It means alliteration. See, again, this very particular line, all at once, again, two words begin with A, the repetition of the A sound. So again, just what? Again, you can say this simile, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake beneath. Next figure of speech, let's see this. So see again here, thus you can say repetition of the sound, repetition of, the word. So repetition is used here also. Continuous as the stars that, see again that means again star shine, means again two words begin with T and two words begin with S. It means repetition of T sound and repetition of S sound at the beginning of consecutive words. It means again alliteration. Twinkle, T, the, T, again just a repetition of the same sound. They stretch the never-ending line, so line will definitely have its own end. But here he says never-ending line. It means hyperbole is used. Here 10,000 he saw at a glance. Again hyperbole is used, and since the movement of the flowers actually compared to the body movements or the limbs movement of the human, alright, means personification is also used. These flowers are personified. So these are the certain literary devices or figures of the speech used in the first 12 lines of the poem. I hope, my dear learners, you must have enjoyed this very particular poem, because I will here stop and very soon I'll come up again with the last two stanzas of this very particular poem. Thank you, my dear learners.